You always have one of those friends, don't you? You always have one of those friends. There's kind of always been an unwritten rule that especially at the dinner table, you don't talk about politics, sex, or religion, right? Which unfortunately has led to the fact that we seem to have a lot of difficulty having conversations about politics, sex, and religion. So let's talk about those things. No, I'm kidding. Let's just talk about the religion part of that for a moment, though. You know you have friends who know you go to church, who don't, but they know you do. And every now and then you might invite them to join you, or tell them about something cool that's going on in church. Wouldn't you? But generally you don't really talk about it much, and they probably don't say much to you about religion. They probably do recognize, though, that we're good people, and maybe church is part of that, but maybe it's not for me. But but generally they're not going to go anywhere near it with you. But sooner or later there's going to be that one person who's going to ask you something, and they're not asking you because they want to know. They're asking you because they're going to get you, because they don't believe what you believe, and they're going to catch you out. Jesus knows a lot of people like that. So there are, as we heard, there are essentially three groups in Jesus' day. There were three sort of religious sects that were part of the governance of Israel, and particularly part of the religious governance of the Hebrew people. And they were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. And you might actually characterize them as being the conservatives. The Pharisees were the conservatives. Sadducees were the ultra-conservatives. And then the Essenes were kind of the, whoa, those guys are crazy conservatives. They're the ones, incidentally, who then went off into the wilderness to do their own thing because you guys don't know what you're doing. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees are the ones we usually hear about having encounters with Jesus, and we have a tendency to lump them together. And the thing is, they don't actually go together very well. In fact, one of the few things that probably united them was that Jesus guy's a threat. But they have very different agendas and very different ideas. And the Sadducees very definitely did not think there was an afterlife. When you're done here, you're done. And there was certainly no resurrection. That's ridiculous. And so here's the moment where they're going to get Jesus, because they got a question that makes the idea of an afterlife ridiculous, they think. And it's about a Jewish law called Levirate marriage, which said that if a man dies childless, his widow marries his brother. There could be all sorts of really good reasons why they would have done this. Population was probably one of them. But the fact is, it was a law. And Sadducees in particular, the letter of the law is the law. So, the man dies, the woman marries her brother-in-law. He dies, and so she marries the next one, and the next one, the next one, and so on. 7 times even. Yikes. It's a little bit of a ridiculous story, but it's to make, from their perspective, the ridiculous point that there can't possibly be an afterlife, because who'd she be married to? They'll all be there. Ha, Jesus. Except, here's where the question is not nearly as important as the answer. Because Jesus' answer is to point out, first of all, you don't understand how it works, do you? Because if you think that all of the rules and laws and things that apply in this life apply in the next one, you really don't know how it works. The next life is not like this. If you ask me, my answer to that question would be, if you ask me what's the next life like, I'm going to say I don't know. I haven't been there yet. I don't know. We hear all sorts of stories. There have been some really great, Heaven is for Real, quite a well-known book, and there have been others about people who have say they've died and they have an experience of the next life. And then they come back and they say, it's like this. And good for them. I'm not questioning that. I'm sure they do actually believe that's what's happened and everything. And sure, okay, it could be. The thing is, if you use only the language that we understand in this world to describe the next, I don't think that's right. See, I don't know what the next life's like. I really don't. But I'm pretty sure it's not this. I know we want it to be, perfect. Well, if you're a farmer, you want it to be a perfect field, right? Or a perfect herd. If you're an artist, it's going to be beautiful and there's going to be art everywhere. Depends on who you are, what you might think it's going to be like. And okay, absolutely, good for you. That's actually even better. That's, in a way, it's better than just saying, I have no idea. Because it gives you something to hold on to. And it could absolutely be that. All I know is that I understand that the next life is being in the presence of God. It's going home. That's the image I'd use. It's going home. Because we come from God and we return to God. That's what I believe. You don't have to. I'm not telling you have to. I'm just telling you what I believe. But it's something worth thinking about, isn't it? That here's these guys who come to Jesus and go, nope, we're done. When you're done here, you're done. That's it. There's nothing else. I love their optimism. No, though, is what Jesus says. No, there is another life. It's the life that is with God. And in many ways, this is a life that is furthest from God. Don't be too nervous. I'm not going to get into the whole there's no hell thing. But if our understanding of this life is that we are distant from God, then surely the next life is being in the presence of God. It's going home. That's how I'd understand it. The point is, though, Jesus, I think, is making a really good point, which is the rules of this life don't apply. So when you get to the next life, it's not about who you're married to in this life. By the way, just to be clear, this doesn't go back this way either, by the way. So if you're thinking that gets you out of a marriage, it's not. It's not how it works. If it gets you out of a job or no, it's not how it works. This is how we're structured in this life. This is how it works. And it's not living this life isn't about getting to the next one. It's about making the best of this one. Because God is God of the living, not of the dead. God is about life. Even from the beginning, the beginning of the story in Genesis, God is about life. God brings life. God is about living. So in this life, we live this life because we want to live well in this life and we want to live well with each other because it's life-giving in this life. But when we leave this life, we are still alive with God. We go to be with God. God is God of the living, not of the dead. So here we are. Tomorrow's Remembrance Day. And it's about remembering what people have sacrificed and given so that we can have this life, this living. How does it impact your understanding of remembering to know that God is God of the living, not of the dead? That those who have given their lives, in fact, so that we could have a better world, and want to have even more, a better world, are alive to God. See, I think that should be part of, that has to be part of our remembering. Though they are gone from this life, they are not dead to us. They are alive. Because we are in this. We have this freedom. We have this, let me say it differently. We have this opportunity to make a better world that was handed to us by the sacrifices made by people, including their lives. We have an opportunity to make a better world. So first of all, are we? Are we honoring their sacrifice by living into that? Not just one day a year, but every day. And secondly, are we honoring that they are alive, not just with God, but in our hearts? We carry forward. I often remind people this when we have a celebration of life, right? We grieve a loss, but we are celebrating a life. One of the things that comes from both grieving a loss and celebrating a life is the understanding that remembering isn't just about history. It's not just about calling a memory. It's not just about telling a story. Remembering means to literally do that, to remember, to reconnect. It's to bring into this moment something from another time. It's to bring it into this moment and let it be alive again. Why? So that we can carry it forward. So that it can make a difference to our lives. So that we can reconnect with the idea that a better life is possible. That standing up to injustice is a good thing to do. That peace doesn't come from just going, okay, do what you want. It comes from being prepared to challenge people who are hurting others. It comes from addressing injustice. It comes from protecting those who need to be protected. It comes from taking care of the poor and the sick too. It's about compassion and giving life. We don't maintain peace simply by doing our own thing and insulating ourselves from others. We maintain it by interacting with others and engaging others with respect. We share our stories. We let people know who we are. We learn from others. To reconnect, to remember, to reconnect with stories on Remembrance Day is to remind ourselves that a sacrifice was made so we could have the potential for something better. What are we doing with that? Every day. Every day. Truly, it is like the poppy with the seeds and things I was talking to the kids about earlier. It's not just that one day plants seeds for the rest of the year. It has to. We need to nourish those seeds and get them to grow, to make a better place. That's why we remember, so that we can carry that forward and live into that. Because God is God of the living, not of the dead, and all are alive to God. Because we're all children of God.